Hey team, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to jump back into Microsoft Excel and continue our tutorial on some of the basics of Excel. What I want to do here is build on what we did last time, taking a look at, as an example, a personal budget and how to use a little bit more advanced formulas to help develop a way to track to that budget. So before, what we set up was just the basics of a budget. Now we want to have a tracking mechanism. So that's what we'll set up today. And we'll have that in the same file as last time. So if you didn't see the previous video, I'd say check that out first, just so you understand where we are now. And I'll link that down below. And then you'll be up to speed. And hopefully this is helpful to sort of build on the skill set we worked on there and expand your abilities. So if this kind of content is useful for you, if you like Excel tutorials, and if you want to be able to do more within the platform, leave a comment below on the functionality you want to learn more about, and I'd love to help you out. I have been an Excel trainer at General Motors, at Amazon, at Chewy.com. Everywhere I've worked, I've done some level of training with Microsoft Excel. And so it's something I really enjoy doing, and I want to be able to help you to use Excel as a tool to make your job and your life easier. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, and let's jump right into it. This is the file we were working in. So as a quick refresher, we had just set this up with a few basics in a very basic format to show income, assuming that you were paid twice a month, and then the different expenses that you would incur throughout that month, and whatever amount there might be remaining there at the end of the month. So what we want to do now is to be able to have a tracking mechanism for this budget. Now, this is what I do because I'm kind of anal retentive when it comes to my budget, because budgets are my life and what I do in my career. But you may not want to take it to the same level of detail, which is okay. There's plenty of simplified tools out there to help make your budget easier, whether that's personal capital, you need a budget. There's so many out there that are really powerful and useful. I like doing it in Excel because it gives me more of a feeling of a control over what I'm doing. And then also, it's a great way to learn just the way that Excel works, and it's very useful within your professional life as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this now, this is the budget or our plan, and now I want to have an actual to go along with that, what really happened, and then beyond that, I need to be able to compare what the actual was versus the budget. So first things first, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to scroll off to the side, and last time we made a little chart here. I'm going to get rid of this right now. And we're going to use this section here to the side to be our actuals. So here I've got every item that we want for our categories, and I've got here my months and then my year for 2021. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to copy this to sort of make my life a little bit easier. So again, highlight these columns. I'm going to hit Control C, copy. I'll go here and Control V and paste that. So now what I've got here are my spots to put my actual results in. But I'm not going to track actuals at the monthly level. What I want is for it to aggregate at the monthly level. What I'm going to do here, first of all, is I would just want to clean this up from a color standpoint. Remember, when we're formatting, you just highlight here, and if I want to change the color, so I've got green as sort of the theme color for my budget. So now I'll make this sort of gold into my actuals, or maybe if you don't like that, you can always go any color here, right? Or choose your own. Maybe we'll go blue instead. So here, then if I want to keep it another same family there, I can just go like this. So it'll be very similar in the way that it's laid out. And I can do this through all of them. Here I'll do the same. And as you learn your keyboard shortcuts, you can do things like here, I can shift down and Control Shift right and highlight the whole thing. So keyboard shortcuts are important to be able to move and operate quickly. So now what I'm going to do here that's probably going to be a little surprising is I'm just going to straight up delete everything that I have in here. And I'll explain why in just a second. But for now, deleted. I'm going to go over here, and to make my life easier, because it's all the same categories, I want to be able to see these. So I'm going to, first of all, go into this cell here, and I'm going to go into my view, and then I'm going to hit freeze panes. By doing it here, it's going to lock at this intersection. So I'll show you when I hit freeze panes, now this is locked. So when I scroll down, that top row won't move. And then when I scroll across, that left column won't move. So whenever you click in a cell and hit freeze panes, it goes at that top left intersection corner. So for now, I'm just going to hide that so I see my total 21. I'll make that a little smaller here. And then you'll see here the same thing, total 2021. So first of all, I'm just going to hide that. And now what I want to do, and this is going to seem kind of crazy and perhaps excessive, but I want this to have every single day of the year because I'm going to track my expenses on a daily basis. So what I'll do here is first, let me just sort of make this spacing make a little more sense. I'll match those two. And I'm going to call this 1/1 of 2021. So you may not know this, but Excel treats all dates as numbers. And so day one is the 1st of January, 1900. And so then everything just adds up beyond that. So what I'm going to do here, because dates are numbers, I can just do a formula here, equals this plus 1, and that's going to make it January 2nd. And so then what I can do is I can take this and I can drag this across. And you can see I'm going to be dragging for a long time because I'm trying to get 365 days out of this. So as it's going along, okay, where am I? You'll see where it's doing that. Let me auto size those columns, Alt-HOI, in case you're interested. Now I'm in June, so I need to continue to drag this along. This is kind of tedious at first, but the nice thing is, once you set this up once, you can basically just copy this sheet and then use it in the next year. And all you have to do is change that very first date. So you can see here, I actually did pretty good there at stopping. I was all the way almost to the end. So right now, I'll just drag this over. Oops, one more. Auto size. Okay. So now what I have here is the full year of columns by day. And so what this is going to enable me to do is I can now track everything on a daily basis. So here, what I might want to do is if I know I always get paid on the 15th and the end of the month, I could set this up as a formula so that it will pull that in automatically on those days. However, if you're paid on that kind of a schedule, what probably happens is the date falls on a weekend, say the 15th is last Sunday, and then you end up getting paid on the Friday before, which is the 13th. So it won't necessarily be 100% accurate. So that being the case, what you might want to do here is just leave it as something you fill in. So what I'm going to do now is set a few things up to make this easier for myself as we go forward. So first things first, I'm going to look here. This date is the only thing here that isn't a formula. So I'm going to make this one yellow, just so I know as I go forward into a future year, this is going to be my input cell to where I'm indicating what the dates are. And so from here, what I'll do is I'm going to actually wipe out these months from the title here. And the reason is the months aren't going to get recognized for my formulas. So I want them to be dates, which are, again, number values. So what I'll do here first is I'm going to say equals here this. And this now is going to be January the 1st. And so what I'll do is I want this to be set up within the format. So I'm going to highlight Control 1 is going to open up my format cells. Now I've already done this in this workbook, but for the sake of this, what I want to do is I want a custom format for these dates, and it's going to show you. So now you can see here in the sample, after I wipe that out, 44197. That is the number value for January 1st of 21 as a count up from January 1st of 1900. So that's 44,000 plus days from that first date. But here I want to change the format, so I'm going to go M. So this is the month as a single digit. MM, two-digit number. MMM is the three-digit abbreviation for the month. And here, MM, four M's, is the full month name. So I'll hit OK there, and you'll see that if I put another date in here, if I say 220 or 222 of 21, it's going to show that it's February. Not what I want here. What I want to do is I want this to also be the first of the month. And the reason I want this to be the first of the month is it's going to impact my formulas. So in this case, I'm going to say, okay, equals EO month. So EO month is going to give me the end of the month. So then I will go with the left arrow to that previous cell, hit a 0, and then I'll close those parentheses. And if I hit enter, you're going to see January. And the reason it's January is this is the end of the month, end of January. So this is the 31st. So I'm going to go back into the formula, +1, and now it's February 1st. So if we want to prove this, I can copy this, and then here I'm going to paste this as values. And you'll see it's got the format here, but if I change the format and do this into a short date, you can see 2-1 of 01, or of 2021 rather. So I'll undo that. Now what I can do is just drag this across, and now I have my months, and each of these dates represents the first day of that month. So here, I'm going to just say, link this up to the top there. That's all I need. Control Enter, and that'll fill all those cells. So now I'm geared up and I'm ready to go with my formula so that I can use these number values to set this all up. So I'm going to go here and I'll go equals sum ifs. So this allows me to sum based on multiple if statements, multiple if conditionals. So what this lets me do is I can identify my sum range. Where do I want it to add up? So that's going to be here in the same row. So to make this easier, I'll just click here, control right arrow will take me over to the end, and then I'll just go down 1, and then control shift left. This will take me back over, make it easier. That's where I want. So I'm going to lock this F4. That's an absolute reference. I don't want it on absolute in that row column set forever. I'm going to cycle through, hit F4 again, and again. I want it to be within those columns of January 1st to December 31st. So that's why I'm doing that. So that's where it's going to sum. Now, what criteria do I want? Well, I'm going to be looking at this based on dates. So I'm going to say here, this is going to be my range. Control Shift right. This is my range for the criteria 1. And then I'm going to cycle through F4, get it back to just those columns, hit that comma. And then I'm going to get back over here. And I want this to have something to do with the date, but what do I want? Well, I want it to be, in quotations here, I want it to be greater than or equal to the date above. So we'll go greater than or equal to in the quotes, hit the and sign. And so I want it to be greater than or equal to January 1st. So I'm going to lock this row. And then my second criteria is I want it to be less than this next one. So the way I'm going to have to handle this, we'll do our criteria range again, and we'll cycle through and we'll lock that again. And then now what I want is here, I want it to be not that number, I want it to be less than that number. So less than, in quotations, and then we're going to hit this one, and we're going to again lock just the row, and then that should give us exactly what we need. That's our second criteria. So I'll close that, now hit enter. And you're going to see that this is going to have a blank or 0 value. And if I highlight here, all of these, now the thing we have to keep in mind is December is going to be treated a little bit differently because December doesn't have a month after. So I'm just going to fill this in for November, and then we'll handle December separately. So if you got everything highlighted, from here, this is my formula. If I click back into it, now I'm in here. If I just hit Control Enter, it'll fill that all in. Now, if you want to test this, we'll just do a real simple test case, just as an example. So I'm going to scroll over here, and I'm going to say, okay, well, on January 31st and February 1st, I can test 2 months at once, right? I'll just put 15,000 just as a number, and then again, Control Enter there. And then you'll see in my sum if formula here, you'll see 15,000 in January, 15,000 in February. Now, if we look though, oh, it didn't catch these. What happened? What's wrong down here? Usually this means something wasn't locked in right. And oh, look what I did. I locked in everything except for the conditional here on the dates. So let me go back here and I'll go into this one. So you see I locked the columns, but in this case, you have to lock the rows, and I just didn't do that. So let me go back, and I'm gonna put the $sign there manually. You can do it with F4, and that should get that taken care of. So now again here, I'll highlight them all again, hit that F2 and Control Enter. There we go. Now it's doing everything it should do. So let me go ahead and just do a few more setup things here while we're sitting here. I'll do sum on these, Control Enter, and then I'll hit this as a sum of these. And then you can see now I'm kind of building out the rest of this. So what I need to do is for December, let me bring this over, and then we'll see sort of what I have to do. So again, this total of 2021, it's not going to recognize that as something. So what I can do for December is I want it to be less than what? So here, I'm going to do a little trick around this, and I'll say less than or equal to, and then I'm going to bring this value back here, and I'm going to use my EOM formula again, and we'll just go, or EO month, do that on that December, 0, so that'll get me to the end of December, and I'll just do that. And that's an easy workaround there, and I'll do that on all of those. So then now what I should be able to do, assuming that everything is done correctly, I should be able to go down in here, and then I can just highlight this column, and then I'm going to hit right click and then hit formulas, and so this should now have all those same formulas. So it should do everything here based on these are the months. Now obviously these months are the months I'd be referencing, but they're the same, so it doesn't really matter. And the dates are fine, and here's the row, it's doing that just fine. December, okay, looks good. And we've got the sum here, okay, great. And then now, if I just go here, got that. Now, you might want to say, okay, well, I don't know if everything's working exactly the way I want, so let me test. Maybe I'll just do a 15,000 in December on the last day of the month. Let's make sure that that's summing up. Okay, perfect. That's good. I like it. So now, obviously, these aren't going to be our salary numbers unless you're a very highly compensated person, in which case, congratulations. And so I'm just going to clear that out. So our formula seems to be working just fine, and I know that that's a good formula, so we'll just continue rolling on. So we've got that here. Now we've got this bottom section, so let's think, what is the formula here doing? So if you look, this is just taking and it's subtracting those as far as what's budgeted, and then here it's running a cumulative. So these are actually still good formulas that I don't need to do anything with. So I can just go back, copy, click here, right click, and you can go formulas, and then this will do it for you. Hide that, and boom, we've got it all set up. So what we need to do now is actually put in the actuals as we're going out through the year. So let me give you kind of an example of what I would be doing as I'm doing this in the course of the year. So as we're going along throughout the year, okay, so say that we make $4,000 a month. That's going to be paid twice in a month. So we'll get a $2,000 check on the 15th, and then we'll get another 2,000 on the 31st. So we're going throughout the full year, and we're just kind of rolling along with this and getting normal paychecks. And then maybe you have a bonus of some kind at the end of February, and so maybe it's $500. We'll do that. And then you can see here, when we come back over, okay, it's summing those up, and it's bringing everything together in a summary. The reason why it's good to be able to track this daily, it's really on the expense side where we're saying, okay, well, I need to pay my rent on the first. And so I'm going to pay whatever my rent is. So if we look back here, you can see, okay, we've got our budgeted numbers. So we'll say, okay, on the first, I'm going to pay 1,200 in rent. And then you'll see that pop up. And then I'll go through and I'll do all my other expenses. And then we'll just say, okay, as an example only, we've got here, these are our planned expenses, and maybe we have all of these expenses really hit, and just for the sake of making this easy, we'll just paste them all in on the first. Obviously, it's not what's going to happen in reality, but just for this example, and you'll see everything will sum up here. And so as we're tracking throughout the month, you can see, okay, so what's not happening all at once? Let's take food, right? So if we're going here and we go to the grocery store and we spend say $50 here, and then we spend $100 here, and we eat out for $25, and then we've got maybe a $15 meal, and then another 50, and then another 100. And so then we can go back as we're tracking along, and we can see, oh, okay, so we spent $340 in the month. So is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. This is where you want to be able to track some kind of a variance. So we spent 400, or we budgeted 400, and we spent 340. So what's the variance? And this will be kind of that final step in the process here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this. And then here, I'm just going to hit insert copied cells. And you'll see here. Now we've got another section to kind of play around with. And I don't want any confusion with this section. Let me insert a column here, and I'm going to do a clear contents, Alt HEA. So this is just another blank gap. This is going to be my variance section, so I want it to be another set of colors. So here, maybe I'll make this orange, and then I'll do the same thing here, and down here as well. We'll go up. And this is where we'll really be able to track what we're doing. Okay, so I'm going to overwrite all of these formulas, and this will be very easy. On the income side, obviously any income that's higher than what we planned for is going to be a good thing, right? So let me open this up. So here in February, we planned for 2,000, but we got 2,500, so that's a good thing. So you can think about that from your math standpoint. Is if the actual is higher than the budget, that's a good thing. So I want that to be a positive number. So I'm going to take the number that's in the actual, and I'm going to subtract the number that's in the budget there. And hit Control Enter, and that will apply that all the way across. And you'll see here, okay, January, these all were good, no difference there. This first one, same thing. And then here in February, that second one was 500 favorable. It was 500 higher. Good. In all these other ones, you can see it's, oh no, it's a negative number because we don't have anything recorded there. That's okay. It's a variance because we haven't been paid yet. So we'll just leave that there for now. Now on the expense side, it's a little bit different because what we have here is an expense. So you want it to be kind of the other way around. So if the expense is smaller, then that's a good thing. So we'll take equals and we'll go with the budgeted number minus the actual number here. And then you'll see that in this month, right, this example we had, we budgeted 400, we spent 340, so that is $60 favorable, $60 extra. So as we get numbers here that are, say, other than what we want, if rent was increased, for instance, and now it's 1,300, you can see, oh no, it's $100 unfavorable or negative to what we had planned. And then when we look at the total, okay, So now those two offset, so we're $40 unfavorable. We're off plan. So good. That is set up correctly. So keep in mind here, these are all showing it's favorable because we've spent nothing. So it's looking as though we've done nothing there, no expense, so it's all favorable. That's okay for now for this look. So what we'll do down here at the bottom is these are all cash amounts that are excess, that are favorable. So this we'll treat in the same way like income. So we'll go equals here, and then we'll take this number, and we're going to subtract this number here. So in this case, the actual minus the budget. And you'll see in this case, we are $40 off, which is what we expect to be because this number is unfavorable by 40, and this number is right on. Okay, so that's really it. As we track throughout the month, so if I click this one, that's gonna hide everything there. And now we can do this entire exercise throughout the course of the year. And as we're going along, what I can do is if I need to adjust the budget, I'll do it here, but usually I want to keep the budget static. This section here is all formulas, so I don't really want to mess with that. This here, the variance, again, is all formulas. But what I might want to do is I might want to change what I see as I'm going here. So you can change what you're hiding or unhiding, or maybe I want to be able to say, I want to hide these for now, so I can just see January and the total. And so I can go back in here and I can do something like that. And then you'll be able to have kind of this better look at what's going on. So now I can say, okay, so January, as I'm tracking along, all right, I've spent here, this is what January looks like. Okay, great, now I can sort of continue throughout my process. So all of these are gonna be your input areas as you spend money throughout the year. I hope this was helpful for you. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Excel tips and tricks and for some additional talk about budgeting and how to manage your personal finances. Thanks for joining. I'll see you next time.